let's do a top 10, and today we're doing top 10 high floor cards. Now, obviously, what I mean by, high floor, high ceiling is obviously a card that, like, at its best scenario, it's really good. High floor means even at their worst, these cards are still very good. And so, obviously, they're reasonable worse. You can always, like, do, like, misplay a card in a way that you use it to lose. I don't know, I could play AI Central and never tap it. So I don't mean that kind of thing. Obviously, while trying to play reasonably, even if not playing perfect, I would say the floor for these cards would be really high. And so what that means is that some of the best cards in the game, things like AI Central, are not really high floor, right? They have a very high ceiling. AI Central might have the highest ceiling, but you might not draw much. You might play it too late. You might actually not develop your economy because you kill yourself trying to play it, get the science tax, the energy, and then getting it down. And then you don't get as much out of it because you're not able to play all the cards you draw, which I've done many times. That exact same thing, right? So A Central is not a high floor card, even though it's high ceiling. Same thing with like something like Mars University, where if you don't get the science tags, then it really doesn't draw you that many cards, right? And it's Manchester University is never bad because it still gives you a point at least one draw, right? So it's not, but that's not also not super high floor, right? So that's what we're doing today. They are ordered by how high their floor is, not how good the card is overall or how high their ceiling is. It's just how high the floor is. So let's begin. At number 10, viral enhancers. Now this is one of the like most dependent cards in this ranking. Like you still need some green tags to make this work. At base level, it gives you one plant and one science, which is obviously not enough. The science tag is pretty good, and the micro tap is okay. The plant is nothing. But the thing is, you are going to play some animal microboard plant. It's just too, like, the rewards are too flexible for this to give you nothing in all scenarios. And the rewards with just one animal are almost enough. Like, you just play a 1 point animal, gives you 1 point. You play two, and this card is already very good, right? Not to mention all the other stuff you can play, right? But this is one of the ones I had a harder time including because like it is dependent. But honestly, like I haven't seen a game where you don't play like at least a couple of green tags, right? Three or four green tags, and 1 point animals. You always want them, so you don't always get them, but you always want them. So there's like viral enhancers is gonna hit on something. Okay, moving on to number 9, Research Outpost. So Research Outpost, I mean, there's nothing can go wrong if you play this card early, basically. Like again, you're gonna find some greeneries eventually, even if by a standard project, so it's gonna give you points. But more importantly, it pays back after 21 cards, right? Even if it doesn't give you points, it just has a discount and it has 3 tags, two of which are pretty useful in the base game. I mean, science is always useful. Builder a little less, as like building tag is less useful if builder is not in play. Um, and the city tag is not useful at all unless you're Arid or whatever. But it's just like playing this early or mid game. It's just gonna pay back. Like it's just a good eco and a city on top of it. That the only one that doesn't require energy. So just like there's nothing goes wrong when you play this. The only reason it's not higher is late in the game. That condition that you can't place it next to greeneries does mean it might be one of the worst cities late. But I like you can still figure out ways to play it late. Even it's just not gonna be as powerful, but it's still a pretty high floor. It's only in the last gen where I would say, okay, maybe not worth it. At number 8, another city card, and this is Kaguya Tech. And honestly, like like the scenarios with this can get crazy, but there's really very few games in which I can see it not working because all you need to do is leave a greenery up for grabs. And I promise you, your opponent is eventually gonna put a city next to it, and I promise you, they're gonna put more greeneries next to that city. But even if they don't, like this card early, like you still get two production in a card, right? And you get to pick up a bonus twice. So, like, you could place it in Elysium. You know, you place two oceans, place on the three card spot, and then you pick it up and place this. And say you do that early. Say you kind of waste it, which because obviously I would wait for someone to place a city. You're still getting two production for 10, a card, and you're picking up three plants again, and you're getting four cash back again. So, like, even if you're impatient with it, like, this card gives you a lot. Um, so yeah, I didn't think I'd include this because it always feels like when I'm thinking the crazy. It feels like a high ceiling card, not a high floor. But honestly, in every game you're gonna find a way to get at least 1 point with this, plus a card, plus shit you pick up from the ground, plus two production that are gonna reduce the cost by some amount, right? Obviously, nearly every card here is weaker on the last generation, and that goes for viral enhancers and recharges. There's like the last cards in the game are usually big point cards that are more dependent, but like I would say Kaguya Tech up until 8th yen, the floor is very high. Okay, we're gonna get into stronger cards now. At number 7, Deimos Down. And yeah, when do you not want like 3 temperature steps? Obviously, there are ways it gets weaker. One, if you play it late, the steal might not be that useful. Your opponent could have no plants or protected habitats, and so the -8 plants are less hurtful. So that's the floor, right? But really, like, that's you're still getting 3 very efficient temperature steps. Even like the reason I even don't put it high in that, I don't put it even higher than that, is sometimes your opponent is rushing, um, and yeah, you don't want to really move the temperature. That's like the scenario that's not so great for Deimos Down. But even then, I just save it for when you can't, like the gen it's gonna be last, and I would play it first thing that generation. So there's really no scenario where you really don't play it, or I guess maybe if you're the heat production player, you're sort of still cannibalizing points for yourself, but playing demos is still gonna be more efficient. So yeah, it can get a lot weaker. The ceiling is much higher, but the floor is still pretty high. Like it's 3 temperature steps in one card. So yeah. At number 6, Spaceport Colony. And here's the thing, getting another trade fleet is always good. Again, everything gets worse late in the game. But second trade fleet, it's just always gonna be good, even in the last 2 gens. And the double placement also always gonna be good, right? Even if you Yeah, even if the colonies are not that strong, like every colony is strong with a double colony on it, essentially. And it just like you just dominate trading so much after that. There's no scenario where you don't keep this early in the game. Um, and yeah, the weak scenario for it is the colonies aren't that great. So let's say what's the weakest colony? Europa. But the thing is, you're gonna have 5 colonies to pick from, right? So like let's say the weakest possible is Io. Like Io with 2 colonies, you're probably getting a hit step every turn, and then you have another trade fleet to just empty all the other colonies. So yeah, Spaceport Colony, like, never bad. And similarly at number 5, I think it's even lower. Sorry, higher floor is Skydogs, because Spaceport Colony depends a little bit more on the colonies. Like, it could be weak colonies, but Skydogs still gives you the extra trade fleet, but also the one discount. Discounts are just always good. The requirement is super easy to meet. Same thing for Spaceport Colony, by the way. Um, and yeah, just colonies always matter. If you've played colonies on Board Game Arena, since it released, you realize it just takes over the game. It's just basically bullshit that you're gonna play a game where they don't matter. Even if you're rushing, they're gonna matter. So 2 trade fleets just matter. Um, and the +1 discount is just generically good, so that's why this is 5. Okay, moving on to number four, advanced ecosystems, and this is just the ultimately cheap point card that it's you just you never sad you have this. The only thing that makes the floor like is the slight chance that you're not able to play it, but I never see that happen. Um, the microbe tag can be a little tricky. You're always gonna get a plant tag. You're always gonna see a plant tag that's worth playing. An animal tag very likely. Microbe tags can be a little worse, but even this card makes decomposers an automatic play because it's an extra point on decomposers, and it lets you play it right. And viral enhancers, three plants, right? Even though you would play viral enhancers anyway every time, right? Um, but there are other like psychophiles, industrial microbes. Other microbe cards are worth playing early in the game that would just let you play this, and then you have wild tags. So there's the scenario where you don't play this is really weird, and paying 14 for 3 points is always good. It's just always good. So yeah, the floor here is it's basically 14 for 3 points, which is always good. Okay, moving on to number three, L1 Trade Terminal. Uh, yeah, like I said, if colonies are in play, they take over the game, and +2 is insane. It just is. Like if you've ever played a game where you have both trading colony and trade envoys, you would know this. But it's just you're getting, even if you have no colonies, you're getting the fourth step on whatever you trade to every turn, which is already decent. But anywhere you have a colony, you're getting the fifth step, right? Anywhere where more people have colony, you're getting the last step, right? If Luna, you're always getting the 17, essentially. So it's +2 is just insane. It's probably worth like 6 months, six production a turn, like just going by Luna. But also that's not all this card does. It also like doesn't just give you six reduction for a very reasonable price of 25. Is it? It's also giving you 2 points. Um, and it's gonna give you three random resources that you can place wherever you want. They just have to be different. But that could be another point easily, or maybe even two. I'm gonna play this early though, so like it's don't count on a 1 point animal. The three resources, three random resources are an afterthought, but like the +2 is always insanely good, and the 2 points always work. The resources are just stupid gravy. So yeah, at number three, L1 Trade Terminal. At number two, yes, Giant Ice Asteroid, and yeah, obviously Giant Ice Asteroid. I think it's the better of the two big asteroids. I've always thought that. And the key thing here is that you could be the heat player, right? But you're never gonna be the ocean player. So it's a lot easier to just not cannibalize your own points with Giant Ice Asteroid. As soon as you draw it, you just don't keep other ocean cards if you think the oceans are going too fast. And you can play whatever you want. There are no requirements. It blows up about the same amount of plants as Deimos. Like it's two less, but usually with Deimos, you play Deimos when the other guy has 7 or 6 plants anyway. So I think on average they blow up the same number of plants. Um, it places oceans, which is better than temperature. It's usually gonna get you at least four back, which makes it like the same price as Demos, but Demos gives you steel, I know, but yeah, like it gives you usually at least four back, um, and it's 4 points instead of three. And the fact that it's not all on the same track, it's also good because it like lets you plan a little more. Uh, so yeah, again, no bad scenario to play an Ice Asteroid. Again, if you're being rushed, you can still play this. You just have to like realize when the last generation is, and try to play this before your opponent does, right? And yeah, that's it. Again, the floor is really not that low. Uh, very just to be clear, because I know you're gonna think, okay, like isn't something that gives me 4 points and cheaper just better? Um, the thing is that terraforming rating, like the oceans, And temperatures are not only giving you points, they're taking points from those are points that your opponent now can't gain, right? So they're worth more than just points, and that's why I don't have things like Interstellar Colony ship here. So yeah, there are 4 points that are worth more than 4 points. Okay, and finally, number one, you should maybe not be a surprise, but Earth Catapult. And yeah, there's just no floor here. I've played this in last generation and realized that it's profitable. But think about it. Like, let's say you have no discounts. One, because you don't have Earth Catapult, but also because it's a floor. You just take this, see this on the draft on the last generation. So you buy it, it costs 26. It's giving you 2 points. So what do you need to play to make it worth it? If you play 8 cards before it, the 2 points are very good. On the last generation, that's unlikely, but you could play six, right? You could play 6 cards on the last generation, and then you're paying 14 for 2 points, and that's the absolute worst scenario, right? If you just getting it anytime other than the last generation, it's probably giving you close to 2 free points, right? So, and like I said, most of these cards in the last generation are not that strong. Advanced ecosystems probably being and the two asteroids being the bigger, and even Kaguya Tech being the bigger uh, exceptions. Because, like I said, like the floors are get lower. Floors will get lower for some cards later in the game. But Earth Catapult is the rare economy card that is, amazing. The earlier you play this, the absolute better, and somehow it's still often playable last gen or the gen before the last. So yeah, ultimate high floor card for me. There's just, you have this in your opening hand, and it's the biggest no brainer ever, and that's sort of what this top 10 is supposed to be. Like, if you have it in your opening hand, you're gonna keep it, and it's gonna be the first card out. That's what a low floor means. There's no risk to playing it, um, and it's gonna pay back. And any draft in the game where you see this, except the last, you're probably taking it and playing it. Maybe you don't take it first in you're prioritizing bigger point cards in the later generations, but this is a fine point card, and it's gonna be free. So yeah, Earth Catapult, lowest, highest floor card. Anyway, that's all I have for today. Let me know what you think. I've got a bunch more top tens, so we're gonna have a lot of top tens from here to December. uh, but I still try to rotate like one every 5 weeks or so it's not all top tens. But yeah, I had slowed down on them. We're gonna have more. But yeah, hope you enjoyed, and see you next time.